This proposal offers a unique opportunity to partner in the global dissemination of this future bestseller. With a proven track record of international interest, including translations into 16 languages and significant organic traction in major markets like Germany, the project is poised for a massive breakthrough. We are seeking a strategic partner to help transition this work from a niche success to a global bestseller. What's important to understand is that the holographic universe, challenging the fundamental understanding of reality, already has strong intellectual value and clear market interest. The challenge hasn't been the quality of the work. It's been the way the book has been distributed and marketed. Up to this point, the project has relied heavily on Amazon's distribution system. While Amazon helped create some visibility, it's still a passive platform. It doesn't provide the kind of targeted promotion, strategic positioning, or professional campaign management that a groundbreaking book like this really needs in order to reach a global audience. Another issue has been contractual limitations. Previous agreements restricted the author's ability to collaborate with major international publishers and specialized distribution partners who could elevate the book into larger global markets. At the same time, the marketing efforts have been fragmented. Even though the book has already been translated into 16 languages, which is a major accomplishment and a strong indicator of international interest, there has never been a unified, professionally coordinated global campaign to fully leverage that momentum. So the key takeaway is this: if the goal is to position this book as a true worldwide bestseller, the strategy has to evolve. The project needs to move beyond passive retail distribution and into an active, well-funded publishing, branding, and international marketing model that can match the scale and significance of the work itself. The real opportunity begins with transitioning the book from a largely Amazon-based self-publishing model into a fully professional publishing partnership. That shift is what can unlock the project's true market value and global potential. The first step is establishing the right publishing relationship. That means partnering with a publisher or distributor that specializes in high-level non-fiction bestsellers and already has a strong international presence. Instead of relying on passive exposure, the book would benefit from an experienced team that understands how to position thought-provoking works for mainstream global audiences. The next piece is building a unified brand strategy. Right now, the project needs a stronger central identity, something that immediately communicates authority, credibility, and significance. That includes developing a professional website, cohesive branding, and high-quality marketing materials that position the holographic universe, challenging the fundamental understanding of reality as the definitive work in its category. Distribution also needs to expand beyond a single online platform. The goal is to create a true multi-channel presence, making the book accessible not only through online retailers, but also through physical bookstores, libraries, universities, and academic institutions around the world. That broader availability dramatically increases both visibility and legitimacy. And finally, the promotional strategy should become much more data-driven. Since the book has already been translated into multiple languages, there's a major advantage in targeting countries where the groundwork is already complete. By investing in focused digital marketing campaigns in those regions, the project can maximize audience reach while achieving a much stronger return on marketing investment. The overall idea is simple. This is no longer about just publishing a book. It's about building an internationally recognized intellectual brand around it. Dr. Manuel Almendarez has already demonstrated an ability to attract international attention and connect with readers across multiple markets. What makes this opportunity compelling is that the market has already validated the demand for his work. One of the strongest indicators of that demand is the book's multilingual reach. The holographic universe, challenging the fundamental understanding of reality, has already been translated into 16 different languages, which shows that the ideas resonate far beyond a single culture or region. That kind of global intellectual appeal is difficult to achieve and speaks directly to the universal curiosity surrounding the subject matter. The project has also shown proven commercial traction, even without a dedicated marketing budget. For example, the book gained meaningful sales momentum in Germany through Amazon alone. That's important because it demonstrates that when the content becomes accessible within major international marketplaces, readers respond organically. In other words, the demand already exists. It simply hasn't yet been fully scaled through professional promotion and distribution. Beyond the sales performance, Dr. Almendarez brings long-term intellectual credibility to the project. He has spent years refining and developing the concepts explored in the holographic universe, challenging the fundamental understanding of reality, positioning himself as a serious voice in a field that continues to grow rapidly in public and academic interest. The key takeaway is that this is not a speculative or untested venture. The foundation is already established. The audience is already emerging. What's needed now is professional infrastructure, strategic investment, and global positioning to scale the project to its full potential. The timing for this project is extremely strong because the market itself has been expanding rapidly. Over the last decade, categories like life science, consciousness studies, new thought, and popular physics have experienced enormous global growth. The holographic universe, challenging the fundamental understanding of reality, sits directly at the intersection of all of those trends. We've already seen comparable success stories in this space. Authors like Dr. Joe Dispenza and Greg Braden have proven that there is a massive international audience for ideas that connect science, human consciousness, spirituality, and the nature of reality. Their success demonstrates that readers are actively searching for material that bridges traditional scientific thinking with deeper philosophical and existential questions. What makes this opportunity particularly attractive is that the foundation is already in place. The book has already been translated into 16 languages, which means a significant portion of the difficult early-stage expansion work has already been completed. With professional publishing support and strategic distribution, even a relatively modest investment can create a compounding effect, where traction in one country helps generate credibility, visibility, and momentum in others. Another major advantage is the digital scalability of the subject matter itself. Topics related to consciousness, reality, quantum theory, and human potential tend to perform exceptionally well on social media and digital content platforms because they naturally generate curiosity and discussion. That creates opportunities far beyond book sales alone, including interviews, online courses, speaking engagements, podcasts, documentaries, and other long-term intellectual property expansion. So this isn't just a publishing opportunity, it's the opportunity to build a scalable global brand within one of the fastest-growing intellectual and cultural markets in the world. The German market has effectively become a real-world proof of concept for the book's international potential. What happened there provides strong evidence that the project can scale successfully into other global markets. What's especially impressive is that the growth in Germany happened organically. Without a dedicated advertising budget or a professionally managed promotional campaign, the book still generated strong sales momentum and consistently appeared in leading categories related to theoretical physics and philosophy on Amazon Germany. That level of visibility, achieved without major financial backing, suggests that the content itself is driving reader interest. The response from consumers has also been very encouraging. Strong ratings and positive reviews indicate that the book resonates particularly well with intellectually engaged audiences, readers who are actively looking for thoughtful material that challenges conventional ideas about science, consciousness, and reality. Germany is also an especially meaningful market because it has very high standards when it comes to scientific and philosophical literature. Success there is significant because it demonstrates that the book can compete in sophisticated intellectual environments, not just niche alternative markets. And perhaps most importantly, this success provides a strong indicator of scalability. If the book can gain traction organically in Germany, there's a high probability that similar results can be achieved in other major language markets, such as Spanish-speaking regions, France, and broader English-speaking territories especially when supported by professional distribution and coordinated marketing. So, the key takeaway is that this existing traction substantially reduces investment risk. The demand is no longer theoretical. The market has already shown that readers are willing to engage with Dr. Almendares' work on an international level. At this stage, Dr. Manuel Almendares is seeking a one-time investment of $50,000 to accelerate the project into its next phase of international growth. The purpose of this funding is very focused. It's intended to support a series of high-impact initiatives designed to maximize both global reach and long-term revenue potential. A major portion of the investment will go toward professional publishing and rebranding efforts. That means aligning the book with a distributor or publishing partner capable of operating at a much larger international scale and positioning the work more competitively within the global nonfiction market. Another priority is expanding the global distribution network. The goal is to ensure the book is accessible not only digitally but also physically across key international markets, including bookstores, academic institutions, libraries, and specialty retailers. The investment will also support the creation of a stronger digital presence. This includes building a professional centralized website that serves as the main hub for the author's brand, the growing reader community, media engagement, and direct-to-consumer sales opportunities. In addition, a significant focus will be placed on targeted marketing campaigns. Using data-driven advertising and public relations strategies, the project can build on the traction already established in Europe, particularly in Germany, while strategically expanding into new language and regional markets, where the book is already positioned for growth. And, importantly, this is structured as a performance-based opportunity for investors. In exchange for the $50,000 investment, Dr. Almendares is offering a 15% share of author revenue generated through book sales. As the project scales internationally and moves toward projected bestseller status, that creates a direct pathway for meaningful long-term return on investment. The overall vision is not simply to fund a book launch, but to scale an already validated intellectual property into a globally recognized publishing brand. The investment strategy is intentionally focused on infrastructure and growth-oriented activities. In other words, areas that directly increase the book's global visibility, accessibility, and long-term revenue potential. The first allocation is for global distribution and logistics. This funding would support partnerships with international distributors, warehousing set up in key regions like Europe and North America, and the retail placement strategies needed to expand beyond online-only sales. The objective is to ensure the book can be efficiently delivered and professionally represented in major global markets. The largest portion of the investment is dedicated to professional publishing services. This includes high-level editing and refinement for the international editions, optimizing cover designs and presentation for different cultural markets, and converting the content into all major formats, including digital editions and audiobooks. These upgrades are critical for positioning the book competitively at an international publishing standard. Another important component is strategic marketing and public relations. This funding would support targeted digital advertising campaigns, multilingual SEO, and search marketing across all 16 translated languages, and media outreach to publications and platforms focused on science, philosophy, consciousness, and human potential. The goal is to build visibility in a focused, measurable, and scalable way. Overall, this allocation plan is designed to ensure that the intellectual property is not only professionally positioned, but also fully accessible to a worldwide audience. The emphasis is on building a sustainable international publishing infrastructure capable of supporting long-term growth rather than short-term exposure alone. This partnership is structured as a straightforward revenue-sharing agreement designed to directly align the interests of both the investor and the project's long-term success. Under the agreement, the investor would receive a 15% share of all author revenue generated from sales of the holographic universe, challenging the fundamental understanding of reality. That includes revenue from every format: print, digital, and audio, as well as sales, generated across all international territories where the book is distributed. Revenue distributions would be made on a quarterly basis, creating a consistent and transparent payment structure as the project grows over time. Transparency is also a key part of the model. Investors would receive quarterly sales reports along with distribution and performance analytics, allowing them to clearly track market growth, regional performance, and the overall trajectory of the book's expansion. What makes this structure attractive is that it creates direct participation in the project's success. As the book scales internationally through expanded publishing, marketing, and distribution efforts, the investor benefits alongside the growth of the intellectual property itself. Dr. Manuel Almendarez is now at a pivotal stage in the evolution of this project. The foundation has already been built, the international interest has already been demonstrated, and the next step is moving beyond the limitations of standard self-publishing into a professionally scaled, global operation. What we're looking for is a strategic partner, someone who recognizes the long-term value of this intellectual property and understands the growing worldwide demand for ideas that explore consciousness, science, and the nature of reality. To summarize the opportunity, the project is seeking a one-time investment of $50,000. In return, the investor would receive 15% of all author revenue generated from the book across every format and territory. The asset itself is already well positioned for growth. The holographic universe, challenging the fundamental understanding of reality, has been translated into 16 languages and has already demonstrated proven market demand without the benefit of professional publishing infrastructure or large-scale marketing support. What makes this opportunity compelling is that the groundwork has already been validated. This is not an idea at the concept stage. It is an established intellectual property with existing international traction and significant expansion potential. The vision now is to bring this work to a much broader global audience through professional distribution, branding, and strategic marketing partnerships. We welcome the opportunity to discuss the project further, review the formal agreement, and begin the onboarding process for a strategic investment partnership. This slide breaks down exactly how the $50,000 capital injection would be allocated across the core operational areas needed to scale the project internationally. First, a portion is dedicated to logistics and distribution. This includes managing inventory, handling international shipping logistics, and setting up localized print-on-demand systems in key regions. The goal here is to make the book physically and digitally accessible in as many global markets as possible without friction or delay. Another portion is allocated to marketing and publicity. This covers paid social media campaigns, fees for professional PR outreach targeting relevant media outlets, and collaborations with influencers who operate in the science, philosophy, and personal development spaces. These efforts are designed to build visibility and accelerate audience growth in a measurable way. A significant share is also invested in production and design. This includes final editorial refinement for international editions, professional audiobook production to expand format availability, and metadata optimization to improve discoverability across global platforms and search systems. These elements ensure the book meets the highest professional publishing standards across all formats. Finally, a smaller allocation is reserved for administrative and legal work. This supports contract management with international partners and ensures proper intellectual property protection as the book expands into new markets and territories. Overall, the intention behind this breakdown is transparency and efficiency, making it clear that every dollar is directed toward activities that directly contribute to global reach, professional positioning, and return on investment. This slide explains how the $10,000 marketing budget would be strategically allocated across the 16 international markets to maximize efficiency and return on investment. Rather than treating all markets the same, the approach organizes them into 3 tiers based on existing traction and growth potential. In Tier 1, we focus on the highest performing markets: Germany, the United States, the United Kingdom, and Spain. These are the regions where interest is already strongest, so the strategy here is more aggressive. It includes higher levels of public relations outreach, podcast appearances featuring Dr. Manuel Almendarez, and targeted paid search advertising to capture active demand and reinforce momentum. Tier 2 includes key growth markets such as France, Italy, Brazil, and Japan. In these regions, the goal is expansion and audience building. The strategy shifts toward influencer partnerships and highly targeted advertising campaigns across platforms like Facebook and Instagram, where audience segmentation can be used to efficiently grow visibility. Tier 3 covers the remaining 8 language markets. These are primarily presence-building regions, where the focus is on maintaining visibility at a lower cost. The approach here relies on automated digital advertising systems and SEO-optimized localized landing pages to ensure the book remains discoverable and accessible without requiring heavy ongoing spend. Overall, this tiered structure allows the marketing strategy to concentrate resources where they will have the greatest impact, while still maintaining a meaningful global footprint across all translated markets. This slide outlines the public relations strategy designed to build authority, credibility, and global awareness for the project across all major markets. A key component of this strategy is establishing Dr. Manuel Almendarez as a thought leader in the space. The goal is to position him as a go-to expert for interviews, podcasts, and media features focused on science, philosophy, consciousness, and related fields. This kind of visibility helps shape public perception and strengthens the intellectual credibility of the work. To support this, professionally translated media kits will be developed for all 16 language territories. These kits will make it easy for journalists, editors, and media outlets around the world to understand the book, the author, and the core ideas in a consistent and accessible format, regardless of language or region. Another important focus is outreach to both scientific journals and popular science publications. The aim here is to secure reviews, features, and editorial coverage that further validate the book's relevance and position it within serious intellectual and scientific discussions. Finally, the strategy includes event integration. This involves securing speaking opportunities at international conferences, where Dr. Almendarez can present his ideas directly to engaged audiences. These appearances not only build authority, but also create organic momentum for book sales and wider recognition. Overall, the PR campaign is designed to systematically build credibility and visibility on a global scale, reinforcing the book's positioning as a serious intellectual contribution, while expanding its reach across multiple channels. These are the revenue growth projections, which are built on a conservative scaling model, grounded in real performance data rather than speculation. The financial assumptions start with what has already been observed in the German market, where the book demonstrated organic traction without paid marketing. That existing performance is then extrapolated across all 16 language territories to create a realistic, phased growth forecast. The first phase covers the launch period, which spans the first 6 months. During this stage, the focus is on the strongest core markets: Germany, the United Kingdom, the United States, and Spain. These are prioritized because they either already show traction or represent high-potential English and Spanish-speaking audiences. Within this initial phase, the target is to reach approximately 10,000 combined units sold across both physical and digital formats. Based on pricing and market assumptions, this translates into an estimated gross revenue range of $150,000 to $200,000. Under the proposed revenue-sharing structure, the investor's 15% share during this phase would represent an estimated return of $22,500 to $30,000. The key point here is that this model is intentionally conservative and grounded in observed organic demand rather than optimistic projections. It's designed to scale gradually from proven performance, starting with the strongest markets before expanding further internationally. Building on the initial launch phase, Phase 2 represents the global expansion stage of the project, extending from months 7 through 18. At this point, the focus shifts from establishing traction in core markets to activating the full 16-language rollout and expanding deeper into secondary international regions. The infrastructure and awareness built during Phase 1 are expected to create momentum that carries into these additional territories. During this expansion phase, the target is to reach approximately 50,000 units, sold across all formats and language editions. This reflects broader international adoption as distribution, marketing, and visibility efforts scale across multiple regions simultaneously. Based on these projections, estimated gross revenue for Phase 2 is between $750,000 and $1 million. This assumes continued growth from established markets while newly activated regions begin contributing meaningful sales volume. Under the proposed 15% revenue sharing agreement, the investor's share during this phase would range from approximately $112,500 to $150,000. The key idea behind this phase is scalability. Once the initial markets validate demand and the distribution system is fully activated globally, the project is positioned to transition from early traction into large-scale international growth. Beyond direct book sales, this project has several additional revenue streams that significantly expand its long-term commercial potential. One of the key opportunities is audiobook rights. By licensing the book in multiple key languages, the project can generate additional income while also making the content more accessible to global audiences who prefer audio formats. This is a particularly strong growth area, given the continued rise of audiobook consumption worldwide. Another important stream is online seminars. These would be hosted and led by Dr. Manuel Almendarez, using the book as a foundation for deeper exploration of its ideas. These webinars not only create direct revenue opportunities, but also help build a more engaged global audience around the intellectual framework of the work. A third major opportunity comes from bulk institutional sales. This involves targeting universities, academic libraries, and research institutions that focus on theoretical physics, philosophy, and consciousness studies. These types of organizations often purchase books in bulk when content aligns with curriculum or research interests, creating a high-value and stable revenue channel. Taken together, these additional streams extend the project beyond traditional book sales, turning it into a multi-channel intellectual property platform with diversified and scalable revenue potential. This slide explains the path to profitability and how the return on investment is structured over time. The primary objective of the model is to achieve a relatively rapid return of the initial capital, based on the $50,000 investment. The break-even point is defined as the moment when total gross revenue reaches $300,000. At that threshold, the investor would have effectively recouped the full $50,000 investment through their share of returns. The projected timeline for reaching this break-even point is relatively short, given the existing traction already observed in markets like Germany, and assuming the implementation of professional marketing and distribution systems. The expectation is that this milestone could be reached within the first 6 to 9 months of active scaling. Once the break-even point is reached, the structure becomes even more favorable for the investor. After the initial capital has been fully recovered, the 15% revenue share continues to apply to all ongoing revenue generated by the book. At that stage, returns transition from capital recovery into pure profit participation. This brings the entire investment proposition together in a clear overview. At its core, this is a partnership with Dr. Manuel Almendarez that represents a high-potential opportunity within the intellectual property and publishing space. The proposal centers on a one-time capital injection of $50,000, designed to unlock the next stage of global growth for the project. The underlying asset is the holographic universe, challenging the fundamental understanding of reality, a work that has already been translated into 16 languages and positioned for international readership. This multilingual foundation, combined with existing organic traction, provides an established base for expansion. In return for the investment, the structure offers a 15% share of gross revenue generated by the book across all formats and territories. This creates a direct participation model tied to the commercial performance of the intellectual property as it scales. The overall objective is straightforward: to transition a proven intellectual asset away from the limitations of standard Amazon-based distribution and into a professionally managed global publishing and marketing system capable of producing bestseller-level reach. The key takeaway is that this is not an early-stage concept, but a validated project with demonstrated demand, existing international reach, and a defined pathway for scaling into a significantly larger global market. This is the step-by-step process for investors who choose to move forward with the partnership. After reviewing the proposal, the first step is the submission of a letter of intent, or LOI. This is essentially a formal signal of interest that establishes the framework for moving into a more detailed evaluation of the investment opportunity. Once the LOI is in place, the process moves into a due diligence phase. During this stage, the investor is given the opportunity to review key materials in detail, including existing sales data, translation rights, and the full marketing and expansion roadmap. The purpose of this phase is to ensure full transparency and allow for a comprehensive assessment of the project's performance and potential. If both parties agree to proceed, the next step is the execution of a formal partnership agreement. This contract defines the terms of the investment, including the 15% revenue share and the specific allocation of funds across publishing, marketing, and distribution activities. Following the agreement, the capital transfer takes place. The $50,000 investment is then deployed into designated accounts specifically set up for publishing and marketing operations, ensuring that the funds are used strictly for growth-focused execution. Finally, the project officially enters the kickoff phase. This marks the beginning of the global rollout, including distribution expansion, marketing activation, and coordinated international scaling efforts.